Hello. In this episode, I want to talk about this new idea that the Make America Healthy Again group movement is come up with, or particularly RFK, regarding nutrition. This is more political than I normally get, but I am getting more involved because I feel if you're going to touch healthcare, I'm gonna come defend it because I am tired of seeing people attacking healthcare. There's a lot of misconceptions. There's a lot of bad information being given. And honestly, when I look at nutrition in particular, I am happy to see anything that educates people or doctors more in any topic. The question is who's going to run this curriculum and what exactly is going to be taught, because even nutrition has been politicized. I'm not against it, but I wonder the motivations and the impression that's given. And I am the first one to say nutrition for any individual is important because we all need to know more about it. But to say that you're going to solve the problem by teaching doctors, you're implying that doctors don't know nutrition. Doctors do get nutrition. We don't get the level of nutrition a nutritionist gets. We are not here to treat people with only food. I believe food is something that an individual needs to take responsibility about their choices more than what the doctor can do for them. There's no such thing as just treating conditions with nutrition. Preventing conditions by eating the right things is a better idea. But a doctor is not in the office sitting trying to do a nutrition analysis in a nutrition class every day, all the time, because people come with all kinds of diseases that are very advanced and need to be addressed. Not to mention, in that group of doctors, there are specialists. You want your neurosurgeon to be the best at operating and understanding all the anatomy, and that requires a long time, as it is a short time in medical school. So you have nutritionists that dedicate their life. Do you want to have more nutrition given to patients than force insurance companies to pay for a nutritionist and reimburse the nutritionist for that? You can have somebody, I'll be happy to hire a nutritionist if you pay them to get them involved and just handle all the nutrition on a patient. But the truth is, a more productive thing will be to use the money to add nutritionists to schools, have a nutrition department class from elementary school all the way to 12th grade, and if necessary in colleges too. Make it mandatory. Also, make mandatory physical education classes, not to play sports, but to physically get fit and maintain that fitness. And not only teach them, but make it a habit. Going to medical schools and telling them, I need you to do this, you think somebody's going to say no? They're going to lose their funding. By saying yes, they have automatic the opening door to say, give me millions of dollars to help do this new curriculum. Teaching a doctor is never going to be a bad thing. It just loads their schedule more and takes away from things that are very important. How to understand disease processes. And when disease is discussed, they can implement there or add to that the nutritional aspect. They already do. How do you think they talk about metabolism without talking about nutrition? How do you think we learn about the Krebs cycle without talking about nutrition? How do you think we talk about cancer or any other condition without talking about nutrition? These things are covered. They're not covered extensively because in medicine, many things are touched on. And the main thing a doctor learns to is how to train and teach themselves, because the rest of your career you have to do continued medical education in order to maintain your license and your boards and to stay competent. I study every day a bit here and there, and a lot when you add it through the whole year. My focus is in certain areas that I have interest. I'm a surgeon, so for years that was my number one focus. Once I mastered that, I noticed my patients required help. They were not getting the appropriate things at home or following lifestyle that benefited them. Some of them show up with abnormal labs. So I took on my hands upon my own duty to help them. That's why you see in my website we take the patient and consider the patient as a whole. Many doctors are doing that. And then that turned into a full-time interest where I help people prevent illness. I run a clinic that is a preventive clinic, wellness clinic, or longevity, whatever you want to call it. And it has been very successful. But I do this evidence based constantly. So back to the nutrition idea, why not teach the public? Why not educate the public? Put the resources in that. If you do that, many things happen. Every individual is taught how to eat. Every individual is given lifestyle coaching through school. Every person learns, including those people that decide to go to medical school. So they learn to eat for themselves. They learn to teach people and guide it. So it's a double winner. To just try to imply that doctors don't know is more of what the MAHA movement has been trying to do, is put down scientists, doctors, people that dedicate their life to do this. I don't know if it's intentional or not, but it's created a whole bunch of grifters, misfit doctors that are not doing a good job. Now they basically open their own business saying, hey, I have an alternative to all these poisons, created this distrust, which is completely inaccurate. It does not, it's not true that doctors receive all this money from pharma. I don't. And many of my colleagues don't. I'm sure there's doctors that love to work for pharmaceutical companies or consult with them, or somebody has to give them some expertise and knowledge. There has to be a medical director or a board of directors. And you know what? I don't know the intricacies of that. And maybe that's your job to regulate that and watch it. But it's necessary to have scientists in those boards to understand what is being done. And there's going to be a doctor that takes the education part of that medication, and they pay him for that. But there's ways to regulate, and you already have ways to regulate. Open payments is a CMS website where you can see what people get paid for whatever consultation they've done. Attorneys do this all the time. Why are doctors being kept, and why are we not encouraging people to make money or to just be in a profession that is profitable? They pay us less. It costs us more to run the office. And I'm telling you, in 30 years, I've been seeing this decreasing payment, increasing cost. The offices are hard to maintain. And, most of the doctors in the primary sector are just basically overwhelmed trying to take care of all these chronic illnesses. And just a message, chronic illnesses are not caused by physicians. Doctors give medications because they're trying to stop a process that will ultimately kill you. Longevity has been increased because we keep people alive longer. You have people in their 90s with diabetes, diseases that are extremely advanced, quadruple bypasses. And I must say, a lot of what happens is genetically predisposed, is also because of lifestyle choices. People don't want to hear that because people want to point fingers and say, it's this and that, it's not me. Well, I hate to say this, but it is many of it, most of it is behavior modification and taking accountability of your own health. We cannot spoon feed you the right foods. You have to make choices. Now, one positive thing is to change the quality of the food and the availability of the food. In this country, we have plenty of food. We have a lot of bad choices. Even in the doctor's lounge, if I walk in there, it's loaded with Frito-Lay's bags of Doritos, and they taste delicious. They're engineered to be delicious. You go to a Starbucks and you look at the line. Nobody's forcing these people. There's not a doctor directing traffic into Starbucks. The people are there buying the venti and the super extra large sugar filled drinks. Now, are you going to regulate that? Are we going to regulate business? I think you should encourage people to make the right choice and to pretend like people have no control. Maybe they don't, but to say, well, we're going to investigate these sugar drinks that are making people sick. Well, how about telling people don't drink it? And yeah, you can just make it unavailable because it's not nutritionally necessary. But at the end of the day, people are going to do whatever they want. They go home and make the cookies then, and they have a batch. So I believe education of the public at the level of early infant or kid school years, it's the way to do it. Much better return on your investment. And then how do you empower doctors is take the insurance companies off our backs. Make sure they cover. Make sure that once we have a license and we're credentialed, we're given freedom to do what we need to do best for the patient. Control PBMs. The third parties are the ones making the money. Doctors are already regulated and controlled by Stark laws and anti-kickback. We don't get any money that is significant. We get money if we go to a conference to learn about a product, maybe a meal. Wow. Let me tell you, in my career, I have not used a mesh to fix a hernia or given a drug based on a company. I do it based on the merit of the product itself and the benefit for my patient. If there are bad apples, don't make everybody pay for it. And also, why don't we control all the grifters that have come up following the MAHA movement with their own ideas? Many of them misfit doctors that don't even have a license anymore for very important reasons. Now they're coming out to start with their own models and ideas, trying to criticize established, well-researched practices that are proven. These are not things that are lightly done. Creation of medications, creation of protocols takes years. Study and many, checking every dot and um, every little process is checked twice and three times to make it safe. And there comes the people just saying, I have a special bundle of vitamins made in China that are going to be better than that vaccine or that medication. Listen, if it was that easy, we would be all millionaires. If it was that easy, I would have my own line of uh, vitamins. Why don't I have it? Because I look at brands that are established. If I'm going to recommend a supplement, and I make sure that it's going to work and do what the patient's looking for. But we need to start with the lifestyle. If we don't do that, everything else is not going to work. So my encouragement is stop the politicization of healthcare, stop the fights of the different diets. The best diet for a patient is the best diet for that patient. Some people can benefit from keto for a time because they have a condition. Some people may benefit by only eating meat. It's called an elimination diet. But they need fiber. So we must find what fiber containing plants or grains are going to be beneficial. And then we monitor. It requires an effort and time. There's not a universal diet for everyone. And sugar is one that we all have to control. Doesn't matter the age. Yes, it's pro-inflammatory and all these things, but it's not magic to stop the sugar and everything heals. It's not magic to just go pure high fat diet without knowing the genetic predisposition of that person or how they react to it. So there's a lot of people grifting. There's a lot of people that have tagged along and are trying to act like doctors. They self-title themselves as a human biologist. I mean, we go to school for a reason. Credentialings are important. Credentials are important because we need to know that that person did the basic to understand disease processes. It doesn't stop there. They have to maintain their education and stay up to date. So I worry how healthcare is turning into a snake oil business because social media allows that. Every influencer thinks they're experts, but there's also the desire to make money at the expense of other people. If they're going to do that and recommend, I also ask that they are responsible and held responsible for bad recommendations. So if you're a patient and some guy gives you some advice to take this and that and you believe them and you buy their product, when things go wrong, you should hold them accountable. Physicians have that. It's called malpractice. We have insurance for that because we're not perfect. How are these guys getting away? The number of people that I see in my office every week that come with all these ideas and they are getting hurt because of side effects of supplements, because of overtaking things that are not really productive to them or interfere with their actual treatment of medical problems. It's growing and is sometimes alarming. And, taking care of a patient is a serious matter. It takes an effort and it takes a lot of studying. I spend sometimes an hour sitting with the patient just trying to understand all they have. And I go through their medication bag and try to understand which they need and which they don't. One thing that has to improve in healthcare is communication among providers. We have so many restrictions and walls that it's very hard to talk from one system to the other. They try to improve it, but it's very difficult to see what the patient had done here and there. And it's limiting. And sometimes there's a repeat of testing that is unnecessary. If you ask me another area that needs to focus in my profession is that communication of the team. So back to nutrition to end my talk here. If you want to improve nutrition, number one, educate the public. Number two, force insurance companies to approve nutritional services for patients. Force them. Number three, make sure that all these companies that are making foods, that are making supposedly healthy foods, actually are doing that and not trying to grift. Because every year I see more and more healthy foods, and when I dissect them, they're not. So that's another place. People get confused. There's a lot of misinformation. And I cannot believe when I see the people surrounding MAHA. Many of them not very reputable people or people that are enriching themselves by tagging along. And the problem is people see those people as leaders. So try to fix this. I'm Mr. RFK. I'm hoping you see this. And if you have questions, call me. Have a good night.